Good evening, students. Today I welcome you all for my economics class organized by REDA Academy. So, today I will start with the same chapter number 2, consumption analysis, and this will be the session 5. So, in the previous sessions, we have seen um, a demand, a law of demand, elasticity of demand, we have seen. Now, we are going to see in the previous session, I told you the various types of elasticity of demand. Now I'm going to explain you in detail what are all the determinants of elasticity of demand. So it is not the determinants, it is nothing but the facts, okay? Or we can say the what are all the reasons for the elasticity of demand, okay? So here there are few determinants which we need to know. With some examples I will explain you in detail what are all the determinants which determine the elasticity of demand, okay? So the first one is availability of substitutes. So we have seen what is substitute, what is complementary, and what are all the examples of substitute and complementary goods we have seen. So I think you will be very familiar with the substitute goods and complementary goods. So the substitute goods, the availability of the substitute goods also, it makes the elasticity in the demand, okay? So how the demand, it will be very elastic when there is a when the price of the product increases, okay? Price of the substitute product increases, okay? Thus buyers, what they will do, there will be a what if the price of the substitute goods falls, what will happen, the demand for the commodity, it will be very large, okay? So which we call it as price elasticity, it will be very large. Like for example, you take eyeglasses and contact lenses, okay? So if the people, those who are very very comfortable, or if they like eyeglasses, the people those are wearing eyeglasses, and you see the contact lenses, okay? So two products are there. So if the price of any one substitute goods, if the price it goes down, what will happen, the preference of the commodity, it depends upon the price of the substitute goods, okay? So if the price of the substitute goods decreases, automatically the people, they will prefer buying the substitute goods, okay? So prefer to buy, it is nothing but the demand. So the demand increases, okay? Instead of buying the eyeglasses, the consumer, they go for contact lenses, okay? So this is what the price of the substitute goods and the demand for the substitute, it depends, okay? The thing is, the price elasticity, it will be very larger, okay? So and also you take we can say so many examples like eyeglasses and contact lenses, but in case of few commodities, like for example, you take salt, whether the price of the salt goes down, what will happen, it does not have any substitute goods also. At the same time, if you see the main commodities price, if the price level goes down, what will happen, there will not be any changes in the demand for the commodity, okay? And it does not have any close substitutes also, okay? So at that time, in few of the commodities, what will happen, the demand, it will be a zero one, or it will be a lesser one. At that time, what will happen to the price, it will be an inelastic one, or otherwise it will be a very elastic, okay, which we call it as availability of substitutes, okay? So this picture, from this picture, you will come to a very clear conclusion that only the substitute goods, price of the substitute goods, it determines the demand, whether it is increasing or decreasing, anyway the elasticity will happen, okay? The second one is proportion of consumers income. So proportion of consumers income, it is nothing but how far the income of the consumer is, and how far they are spending the money for buying the commodity. The elasticity of demand, it will depends upon like that, okay? Depends on that. If suppose a consumer is spending very less amount of money in purchasing a commodity, what will happen to the price elasticity of the demand? What will happen, it will be a very smaller one. You take the same example, salt. The salt, it's a commodity which we use the commodity in our daily life. Without salt, we cannot intake food materials. Okay, so at that time what will happen, see the small changes in the what the small amount of money spent on particular commodity like salt, these there will be a what small elasticity of demand or inelasticity of demand for the commodity, it will happen. Okay, there will be a smaller spend expenditure on particular commodity like salt, it leads to a smaller changes in the elasticity of demand. Okay, so here this proportion of consumers income spent also, it leads to the elasticity. Only the thing is whether it is a whether it has a larger or smaller elasticity alone, the measurement it depends. Okay, anyway the elasticity it will happen. Okay, then the third determinant is number of uses of commodity. Number of uses of commodity also, um, uh, it makes changes in the elasticity of demand. Okay, so like for example, if like for example you take milk, if the price is if the price of the commodity is very low, what will happen, very less, what will happen, the milk used as, we are using milk for to make various commodities. Okay, and also milk, it's a very essential commodity in our day to day life. Okay, so whenever there is a fall in the price of the milk, what will happen, the consumers or the people will tempt to consume the product for many purposes, like for having more buttermilk, curd, ghee, and for making other milk products like ice creams. Okay, so whenever there is a fall in the price of these commodities, then what will happen, there will be a greater elasticity of demand. The thing is greater or constant or lower, only these things we are studying in each every determinants. Okay, so at that in that case, the number of uses of the commodity also, it makes the demand for the commodity. At the same time the price also it depends. Okay, so whenever you see a basic commodity, not only milk. Okay, so you take the basic commodities which we are using in our daily life like vegetables. Okay, so if the price of tomato is less, what will happen, we used to purchase more kgs of tomato, and normally we used to have we used to cook it for preparing daily uses. Instead, if the price is still very low, we will use the same commodity for multiple purposes. For making more chutneys, we used to make pickles, then we used to make sauces. Okay, so the multiple usage of the commodities will increase. So when the price decreases, the multiple usage of the demand for the commodity increases. Okay, so multiple usage, obviously only if demand is more, the multiple usages will come. Okay, so at that time what will happen, this kind of behavior among the consumers will happen. That is the number of uses of commodities also will make the elasticity of demand for a commodity. Okay, then the third one is complementary between goods. So complementary, it is nothing but we have seen substitute goods also, complementary goods also. Complementary goods, it is nothing but the commodity goods which related to each other. Okay, we have seen so many examples for complementary goods. The best example is lubricating oil. Whether lubricating oil, petrols. Okay, if suppose the price of the petrol increases, whether the demand it will be keep on increasing or it decreases, no, it will remain. It will remain. Sometimes it remains inelastic also. Okay, so the increase in the price of the commodity, it may not reduce the demand for the complementary goods. Okay, so the same goods also. So likewise, what happens, no, the price inelasticity will happen. Okay, whenever there is a complementary between goods, the price of the commodity will be inelastic. Okay, so this is also one of the important and best example, current situation example for the determinants that makes the elasticity of demand. The next one is time period. This time period also, it's a very important factor which determines the elasticity of demand. And this time period, we obviously we have very short run period and long run period. So if the price elasticity of demand for many goods, it will be a larger one. This is because the substitutes can be discovered or it may be invented. Okay, so in that case what happens, no, the price elasticity of demand, it will be what, larger. Therefore what happens, no, the demand, it is generally more elastic, it is more elastic in the long run. Okay, shorter period, it's not like that. Okay, so in the shorter period, new substitutes it will be there. Okay, so new substitutes will be there, but in a longer period what happens, no, the demand, it will be more elastic. So that's how the producers or the sellers also, they look into how far the prices and demand for their commodity, it will be, they will do a research and they will come to a conclusion in which period the demand, it will be elastic and inelastic, whether in the long run period or short run period. So this determinant, it is helpful for the producer or the seller to determine or to forecast their demand, price and demand for the commodity. Okay, so these are all the various types of determinants which determine the elasticity of demand, whether whether the price elasticity is elastic or inelastic, or it remains constant. Okay, it depends upon the factors we have seen. Now after that we are going to see the measurement of elasticity of demand. So how to measure? So we have seen in the previous concepts, we have seen what is demand, what is law of demand, what are all the determinants of demand we have seen, what are all the various types of elasticity of demand, kinds of elasticity of demand we have seen, determinants of elasticity of demand we have seen. But to a certain level, all this, it will be applicable, but apart from that we need to know how to measure it actually. Okay, without measurement, how can we do the analysis how the elasticity of demand it happens? Okay, now we are going to see how to measure the elasticity of demand. There are various methods to measure the elasticity of demand, but very few it is given in our textbook. The one is the percentage method. Okay, mathematically, with the help of the small data, we are going to see how far the economists, they have measured the elasticity of demand. Okay, so in that case we are going to see the first one is percentage method. Percentage method, under this method, it is nothing but we will analyze the elasticity with the help of the percentage. Okay, and what is the formula? What is the formula to measure elasticity of demand is EP is equal to delta Q by delta P into P by Q. Okay, so delta Q, it is nothing but what? The already we have seen delta Q, it is nothing but the changes in the quantity demanded, and delta P is the changes in the price of the commodity. So in that case what happens, here only the percentage we are going to include, which we call it as percentage method, or we can call this method also as a ratio method. Okay, so so when we include the percentage, we will get a percentage method. The EP is equal to percentage changes in the quantity demanded and percentage changes in the price of the commodity. Okay, so this symbolically we have written this EP is equal to percentage delta Q by percentage delta P. Okay, so this is the formula. So here this percentage method, it's a very simple and easy method to calculate the elasticity of method. See, for example, here uh, some numerical analysis also will be doing under the percentage method. With the, if you know the price of the commodity and quantity demanded, and just you multiply the data with the 100, then you will get the percentage of the elasticity of demand. Okay, so we'll see some of the numerical examples at the end of this chapter. The second method is total outlay method. Total outlay method, it is also one of the very easiest method to measure the elasticity of demand. Here you see Marshall, he analyzed the measurement of elasticity of demand with the help of the total outlay method. So what do you mean by total outlay? Outlay, it is nothing but how much this consumer he is spending his money in purchasing a commodity, and with the help this he is analyzing the elasticity, he is measuring the elasticity of demand with the help of the consumer's outlay and the at the same time the total revenue of the firm. Okay, only the thing is the two parties should be there, the seller as well as the buyer should be there, then only the elasticity of demand it can be analyzed. Okay, so either one side of data should be there, then only the elasticity of demand can be analyzed or measured. Okay, so here it's a simple method given by Marshall to determine whether the demand it is elastic or inelastic. For that he is taking the two way. One is he is collecting the total expenditure. Outlay, it is nothing but the expenditure of the consumer in purchasing a commodity, or otherwise the total revenue of the firm. It may be a total revenue of the firm, or it may be a total revenue of the seller. Okay, so any one data he will be he is asking us to take to analyze the elasticity of demand. Okay, so but here in this example he is taking the total outlay, the expenditure of the consumer. Actually, instead of total revenue of the firm, it is very easy to and very comfortable and very possible way to analyze, and it is a very exact way also we can say. Okay, so it's a very exact way to collect the data of the total outlay of the consumer to find out the elasticity. Okay, so here revenue, it is nothing but the price and quantity sold. Okay, already we have seen what is revenue, what is profit, all those things we have seen. Okay, revenue, it is nothing but the income earned by the seller. Okay, how with the help of the price and quantity how much he is selling. Okay, with the help of this two data it is very easy to find out the total revenue, or we can write it as TR is equal to P into Q. Okay, so if suppose there is if there is an inverse relationship between the price and total quantity, then the demand it will be elastic, and inelastic vice versa we know. Okay, and it's a very if suppose the elasticity it is greater than or 1, what it will be a elastic one. If it is a lesser than or 1, inelastic one. If it is equal to 1, what will happen? The elasticity it is equal. So this is a very important concept, and here with the example he is explaining the total outlay method. So you take the tabular column. In the tabular column you see the first column price. Okay, we are taking the price of the commodity, then the quantity demanded for the commodity. So if the price is 150 rupees, what will be the quantity demanded? So you assume any quantity in your mind and you think the price of the commodity is 150 rupees. In that case what happens? You see cone ice cream you assume. Okay, so if the ice cream is 150 rupees, your quantity demanded it will be 3 rupees. Okay, because you are having what, you only less amount of money in your hand at that time. Okay, how much you are spending? You are spending 450 rupees to purchase the 3 quantity of the commodity. Okay, at the same time you see if the price of the commodity decreases to 125 rupees, the quantity demanded, you will purchase 4 quantity ice cream. For that you are spending 500 rupees. Now you see if the price decreases, the quantity demanded it increases. Now you see that when we all know demand, it is nothing but when the demand will increase, when the price falls, the demand it increases. Okay. At the same time, you see how far the total outlay, the expenditure from the consumer, when the price is 450, 150, the outlay, the total expenditure of the consumer is 450. If the price decreases, you will tempted to increase by one more commodity, and you are spending 50 rupees more to buy 4 commodities. At that time, what happens now? The total outlay or the expenditure by the consumer, it increases. When the price decreases, the total outlay it increases. Okay, can you understand here? Here 450. Then if the price decreases, you are spending some more amount of money to increase your quantity. Okay, at that time what happens now? This increase in the outlay from 450 rupees to 500, we call it as what? At that time what happens now? The elasticity it increases. Okay, so the elasticity as it increases, symbolically we determine that elasticity is greater than or equal to 1. Okay, again still if the price of the commodity decreases from 125 rupees to 100 rupees, what happens to the quantity demanded by you? Still it increases. So you will be tempted to buy one more ice cream, and you are spending your expenditure, if suppose the outlay, total outlay is the same, sometimes it may change. Okay, but generally the quantity demanded it remains constant. So at that time what happens though? The total outlay it remains constant when you buy the second quantity and the third quantity, and where the elasticity it is equal to 1. It does not change. So that's why the elasticity of demand is equal to 1. Okay, and you take the third situation. If suppose the price of the commodity decreases from 100 rupees to 75 rupees, what will happen? The quantity demanded it will be increasing from 5 to 6. So in that case what happens now? The expenditure, the total outlay, it may be 450. Okay, it may be 450. We cannot say that all the time, all the situation, only some situation will happen. No, there are various types of situation happens in various time period. Okay, so at that time what happens? No, the total outlay it may be from decreases from 500 to 450, where the elasticity it will be lesser than or 1. Okay, so this is the 3 situation happens with the help of the total outlay method. Okay, so this is how Marshall he is analyzing the elasticity. Okay, elasticity, when the price decreases, the quantity increases, and regarding the total outlay, with the help of the total outlay he is segregating the 3 situation. That is, one is when elasticity is greater than or 1, then the elasticity will be equal to 1, and the elasticity will be lesser than or equal to 1. Okay, what happens? The elasticity it decreases when the total outlay decreases. Okay, so these are all the 3 situations explained by the Marshall under this total outlay method. The next we are going to see the one more method, the point or geometrical elasticity. Okay, so this is also very easy. If you connect this one with the total outlay method, whatever the points we have given in the tabular column in the previous table, we are depicting this tabular data in the tabular column in the graph. That's it. Okay, that is the main difference. Okay, but the data is will be the same. Only the thing is the economist he is explaining the concept with the help of the diagram. In the previous method, Marshall he explained the concept with the help of a tabular column, but here the same concept, maybe 1 or 2 points will differ, but the diagram, with the help of the diagram, the economist he is explaining the method under point or geometrical elasticity of demand. Okay, now here you see, you take here in the x-axis we are taking the quantity demanded, in the y-axis we are taking the price of the commodity, and we are drawing the EP is greater than or 1. This is the straight line. EP is equal to 1, and here EP is lesser than or 1. We are taking the three points with the previous data, and we are getting a 3 straight lines. Okay, so which is very linear, and the 3 straight line, it indicates that this is the point of origin. Okay, you see this is the central point line, and here we see that price elasticity will be equal to 1, because it lies in the central point of the two axes. Okay, now you see in case of EP is greater than or 1, you see this is the another point where we are getting the elasticity, price elasticity of demand. Okay, here what happens now, if the price, if the EP, it is nothing but the price elasticity, and here how the elasticity it is greater than or 1. Okay, so here why we are saying it is greater than or 1, because it lies above the central point. Okay, so here that's why EP is greater than or 1. And you see the other situation, the second straight line which lies below the EP is equal to an unitary point. Okay, central point we can say, and which the EP will be lesser than or equal to 1. Okay, now we are getting the 3 straight lines. EP is equal to 1, EP is greater than or 1, and EP is lesser than or 1. So these are all the points where here QPS is the points where if you draw a demand curve, if you draw a line from here to here, you will get a RM line, where this line it touches the all these demand curve straight line at the point Q, at the point P, at the point S. Okay, so it's a line, straight line which touches the all the demand curve, straight line demand curve. Now here the only difference here we are going to see is, what about the 3 situations we have seen, that is price elasticity, it will be equal to 1, greater than or 1, and lesser than or 1. Now we are going to see only one more important concept with the help of this diagram, that is the point which lies below this S point and above Q point, we call it as 2 situation, and that is what point elasticity. Okay, so point elasticity, it is nothing but the lower segments of the what S point. Okay, lower segment of the demand curve which is below the given point. Okay, so this is the lower segment, we call it as EP is equal to 0, and the above point, or we can call it as upper segment of the what segment of the demand curve above the given point, EP is equal to infinity. Two situations also happen. One is EP is equal to 0, EP is equal to infinity. But other than these 2 points, these 3 points, it's a common which happens in our daily life. Okay, whenever there is some changes in the price, what will happen to the demand for that? It will be a demand. It will be a greater than R1, equal to 1, and lesser than R1. But in an extraordinary situation, in some unavoidable situation, what will happen? You know, the 2 situations it happens, EP is equal to 0 and EP is equal to infinity. Okay, which we call it as point elasticity. So here you see it can be written in this form: point elasticity is equal to lower segment of the demand curve below the given point divided by the upper segment of the demand curve above the given point. Okay, so this is how we are writing the definition and drawing the explaining with the help of the diagram. Okay, so whatever the things which we have seen in the outlay method, only 2 things addition to that we are seeing, that is lower segment and upper segment. That upper and lower segment we call it as point elasticity, or the geometrical elasticity of demand. Okay, now you see EP is equal to L by U. Okay, so here EP, it is nothing but L by U, lower segment and upper segment. So here EP, it stands for point elasticity. L stands for the, as I told you, L stands for the lower segment and U for the upper segment. Now we are going to see how far this elasticity, why, what is the necessity of studying this elasticity of demand. Uh, Whether it is applicable in our day-to-day life, all those things we are going to see under the importance of elasticity of demand. Of course, without any reason, the concept will not be okay. So whatever the things which we have seen under demand, everything it is applicable in the real world actually. Okay, that too economics, it's a very important, which we are living in economics actually. We are that's why here we are going to see some of the importance of elasticity of demand. Okay, so in that case, you see the first important is price fixation. Price fixation, this elasticity of demand, why, what is the necessity of the study of elasticity of demand, what is the necessity of doing a research, doing an analysis of elasticity of demand, what is the essential of analyzing the elasticity of demand in various methods, means in real world we are having we consume so many commodities. Okay, we need to know the complete knowledge about the market. So you know, market is a place where both the buyers and sellers, they get together for exchanging the goods. Okay, so in that case, we are not having only one type of sellers and only one type of buyers. There are various kinds of sellers and various kinds of buyers. So in that case, you see monopoly, imperfect competition, perfect competitive market. These are all the various types of markets which we are seeing. Okay, so in that case, you see specifically for the monopolist or the imperfect competition, the sellers in the imperfect competition market. Okay, for them the price fixation, it depends upon the elasticity of demand. You know what is monopoly? Monopoly, it is nothing but a market where the only one seller will be there. Like for example, petrol. Okay, the sellers, those who are selling, producing and selling petrols, diesel. Okay, so they are the only one single seller will be there in the market. They have the full rights, full authority to fix the prices for the commodity. Whenever they want to increase the price, they immediately, without any interference, anyone influences, they raise the price for the commodity. Okay, so the monopolist, then the imperfect competition, what, it's also a kind of market where the producers, they sell different kinds of goods. Okay, so in the market, so a perfect competitive market, so many buyers will be there, so many sellers will be there selling homogeneous commodities, but here they sell different commodities. Okay, so in that case, among them, they fix the prices for the commodity. And how they fix the prices for the commodity, they will take into the account the elasticity of demand while fixing the price for the commodity. Okay, and they fix the high prices. Okay, so if they find out that the demand, it is very high, they increase the price for the commodity. Okay, so in that way, here elasticity of demand, it's very important for the people, those who are selling the commodities in the, for particular people, those who are selling in the selling their commodities in the market. Okay, so to fix the prices for the commodity, the study of elasticity of demand, it is very important. And this elasticity of demand, it helps the monopoly people and imperfect competitive people. Okay, then the second one is production. The producers generally, they decide their production level on the basis of demand for the product. Yes, it is very important. This elasticity of demand, only the producers, if the producers, they come to know that they have their demand for their commodity, they used to produce high level of production, or otherwise they don't take the risk to increase their production. Before starting the production process, they look into the demand for the commodity. Okay, if the demand, if they forecast that their demand is very less, what will happen? Whether they will increase their production? No, they will not increase the production, because it will be a loss for them. It's going to be a loss for them. So in that case, they increase the production by analyzing the elasticity of demand for their commodity, okay, which we call it as production. Then the next important of elasticity of demand is distribution. Elasticity of demand, it also helps in the determinants of the rewards for the factors of production. Factors of production, we all know. What are all the factors of production? Land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. Okay, so these are all the factors of production, and the determinants of these factors of production is also very important of the it depends upon the elasticity of demand. Okay, so if a producer he forecast that he is having more, he will be having more demand for his product in future, what will happen? That will make a decision of the producer to reward the to determine the factors of production, whether to increase or decrease or to remain constant all his factors of production. Okay, even the good services in it, it will be very important in the field of services also. Okay, so the next one is international trade. International trade also here, international trade, it is nothing but the trade between the two or more countries. Okay, importing and exporting the commodities and services inside and outside the country. Okay, so this international trade also it depends upon the elasticity of demand. Okay, so it depends upon the elasticity of demand between two or more countries. Okay, so the terms of trade also, terms of trade, as I told you, the trade between the import and export of goods and services between two or more countries. Okay, so the trade between the two countries or more countries, it depends upon the elasticity of demand. So this is how the elasticity of demand, it is very very essential for a economy, okay, to have a trade with other countries. Okay, and if suppose they want to now what happens now during this pandemic period, we are importing the vaccines from the other countries. Okay, we at the same time we are exporting the agricultural commodities to the other countries. Okay, because our agriculture production, it is more when compared to the other countries. At the same time, you see the machinery commodities, we are not very excellent in producing the electrical goods. Okay, so in that case we are importing it from the other countries. Okay, so and while exporting and importing, how much commodity it has to be exported, how much commodity it has to be imported, all those things the government, they decided to fix the quantity of the commodity. So to fix the quantity of the commodity, this elasticity of demand, it is very important. Then the next one is public finance. Public finance also here, it's very important of elasticity of demand. For example, here it helps the government, both the state government and the central government, in fixing the tax policies. For example, the indirect taxes imposing on the commodity. Okay, so if the elasticity of demand, with the depending upon the elasticity of demand, the government, they fixes the taxes. If the elasticity is more, what will happen? They fix the higher taxes for the commodity. If the elasticity is very less, they fix low prices. Okay, and vice versa also sometimes happens to help the consumer. Okay, so both this elasticity of demand, it is very much essential for making fixing the taxes for the commodities. Okay, for the indirect, for fixing indirect taxes. Okay, so which we call it as what? The public finance. So this elasticity of demand, it is very much helpful for the finance side of a government. Okay, then nationalization. You see here the the elasticity of demand, it helps the government to decide the nationalization of industries, okay, because nowadays apart from the agricultural sector, government they are giving more importance to the industrial sectors, okay. So in that case, the government they look into the industries, how far they are producing the commodity and they are selling the commodity. Once they here, it depends upon the elasticity of demand. It will be they will decide whether it can be a nationalized industry or not, okay. To this extreme level, if the industry is doing anything wrong, that time also the government they have the authority to cancel it, okay. So commonly this nationalization of industries will be helped by the elasticity of demand, okay. So these are all the importance of elasticity of demand. And even more, some more importance also it is, but these are all the common importance of elasticity of demand. One is price fixation, production, distribution, international trade, public finance, nationalization, okay. Because these are all the main thing which is there in the country, in the economy, okay. So with this I am finishing the elasticity of demand, and in the next session we will continue with some more interesting topic in economics. I hope you are having the indifference curve. Okay, so some more important concepts of consumption analysis is there, okay. So we'll look into in the next session, coming session. I hope you enjoyed the concepts of demand. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you guys. Bye bye. See you.